I met a gypsy.
Those first few years in GPs, so you lose the title to Caroli. Arguably, he's in like the GOAT conversation in Europe. And then you lose to Rattray, who then wins a bunch in the US. So the dudes that you got second to are some of the best dudes like that have ever ridden. What do you reckon, if you had to be like critical on yourself now, like what do you think is the reason that you got second? Well, and then you got third to Roxon and Herlings, who, like we know what they can ride too. What was the thing that stopped you from winning, do you think? Like, were you just up against dudes that were just that tiniest bit better than you? Or was there like something that you wish you did different? Was there like a mental thing? Was there like, if you had to kind of think back on it?
To think back to say the first year when I got second to Crowley, I was quite a way off at that year. I was still young, so I think I come into that year at either 16 or 17, but he was a lot better than me. In hindsight that year, you had Caroli that was battling with Tyler, who had already won GPs previous, and he then blew his knee out of the first couple of rounds. And then you had Christophe Pourcel that was in the fight with, he'd won it the year previous in 2006, so him and Caroli and Rattray were the three title contenders, but then it was the year that Pourcel then got paralysed in that crash, and then Tyler blew his knee out. So realistically, I was the fourth best guy that year, which is quite expected as it was my first year on a factory team. I was still really young. Those two got injured, which then put me to second in the championship. What was that?
That check cashed.
Yeah, no, the check cashed still. So it was one of those... So Caroli was quite a lot better that year. Like, I was never going to win a title. But then in 2008 was completely different. It was me. Then at that year, I think either Pourcel had gone to America or he was out injured. So that year it was me, Tony, and Tyler, and we all fought for the title. Like Tony then got injured, I think halfway through, but at that time I was already leading the world championship. Me and Tyler then went head to head for the rest of the year. It was one of those, I don't know why, I made a few mistakes, and then I think just quite young, and then you was up against Tyler that was, I think he was 23 at that point, I was then 18. He was just a better overall, over a season he would experience more. He was a little bit more consistent in, there was a race where I took the red plate, I went 1-1. I then had the red plate for the first time, and then the week after I crashed both races and went like 17-4 or something, and then lost the red plate. So just around like that where Tyler didn't have none of those. So I think I lost the championship by 30 points. But yeah, Tyler was just overall better. Just one of those where I wasn't quite experienced enough to race. Just he was a better guy. And then when I came back, from America, I was racing against Ken and Jeffrey, which was good. Again, good. I won quite a lot of GPs, especially the year against Jeffrey. In 2012, that was probably my best year to date. Where you were like, "Fuck," I was in the title hunt all the way. But then I had a bike problem. But again, I was the more experienced one then, because Jeffrey would have been, I think, 18. I was then 23. So the tables had turned.
Yeah.
But obviously Jeffrey was Jeffrey, and you were up against someone that was good. But I think that year I won 7 GPs. He won 8 GPs, but I had 3 bike problems. So he was probably on a better bike. Realistically, the KTM would have been better than the Cowie I was on. But again, no regrets. I think I've done everything that year. And a lot of the times in my career, it's not that I regret anything, because I always worked quite hard. And I don't think there was much I could have done more than what I'd done, especially in the 250 days. But you were just up against Jeffrey Herlings. I had some bike problems, like I said, but overall, I think even without my bike problems, he would have still won by a couple of points. So it's one of those, you're just up against good people.
Yeah, because it's one of those things, man. Like imagine being Kevin Windham and just racing Ricky Carmichael and then Chad Reed and James Stewart. And, there's so many guys where it's just like, you're just a couple of years removed from being the best dude in the world at the time, or like, yeah, it's like one season away, where if this guy stayed in 125s a year longer, or, you know, you just get like those weird little transitions to where, you know, you kind of almost just get unlucky with like who you have to race at a point.
Yeah, you can imagine him on his with the people he raced. Yeah, it's mental. But if I think about me and I could, like, a world championship, I obviously went to America in 2009 and 10, which was in between. If you think about it, I got second in the world twice, went to America. And the 2 years I went to America, it was when Marvin Musquin won the world championship. And Marvin was great that year, but at the same time, I think he missed 2 GPs because he had that palaver where he was riding Honda and then he changed to KTM halfway through the year. Something happened, Honda took him to court, so he didn't race. But the year before, the last GP I done, I lapped Marvin Musquin. I went 1-1 in the last GP in 2008, and I lapped Musquin both races. Then the following year, I've gone to America, and he's then won the world championship. So it's one of those where, like, fuck, if you'd have stayed, that's like, you're going to be world champion. But things don't happen like that, you know? Like, it's not always the case. So it's one of those, you could say, do you regret going to America because you could have had a world championship? Like, on a plate, even Tyler then moved to America. Yeah. Caroli then moved to MX1. So the 3 guys that I raced all moved to America, all went up. So the championship was wide open all of a sudden. But then I decided, fuck it. Like, if you're going to America, the thing then was, like, go young, so you could be good at Supercross. Whereas I think, I think that's not always the case. I think if you was a little bit more mature and you go to America, especially because you're moving the other side of the world. Like, my family didn't come with me because I've got brothers, sisters, so mum and dad can't just move their life to America with me. So I went alone, and you're young at 19 years old to live that, just move your whole life to America and then at the same time race professional motocross. So I think sometimes, like, you look at rider like Rattray that went a little bit later. I think he was 23.
Same with BT.
Yeah, BT a little bit later. You look at Roxon, even when he went with his family.
His dad, yeah.
Musquin went, he was later. If you say, who else was there? Ferrandis, I think he was 22 when he left, or 21. So I went maybe too early when I made that decision to go to America, especially when I was moving alone. And also the team I went to was not sort of like a family team. That wasn't like a factory team where it was factory KTM where they was really going to take care of you. It was like, I just moved into MDK KTM, that then folded, and then I just rode for a team that KTM just knocked together overnight. They're like, all right, if you want to race, we don't really want to run a team, but you want to race, then we'll set a team up, sort of thing. So it was quite a strange time to make that transition, and at quite a young age. So if there was anything that I would probably change, it would probably be that. But then in hindsight, I had such a good time. Yeah. Like, when you're out there, like, I lived the dream. I was 19, I was in America, I still got podiums. And we had, like, the best time. Yeah. So I wouldn't want to change it. I wouldn't change that. That sort of made who I am today and put me where I am today. So it's one of those things that you could change, but would I want to change? Probably not, no.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.